Good luck getting healthy, guys. Unfortunately, the whole food industry is just trying to get you fat, okay? It's a sad truth. Everything's processed, and we'll see why and how they're just making us fat. We're going to check out this video by Kiana. She's cool. She's great. She's lost a lot of weight just like us. You know, we're out here just trying to do our best to be the best. And let's see what she got to say.
In order to succeed, the food industry needs us to eat more and more and more. And we have been. Over the last 60 years, we've completely changed our eating habits. We now eat bigger portions, we snack all day long, and we've crammed our diets full of cheap, ultra-processed food. The result is obesity for us and billions of profit for the food industry. But recently, something interesting has happened. For the first time in decades, people are eating a little less. Nothing crazy, just a shift for now. People want to be healthy, so they are exercising, they are losing weight, they are eating less. Sounds great, right? Well, not if you're the food industry. In that case, it's bad for business. So what are they doing? They're fighting back. So today we're discussing the food industry's multi-million-dollar plan to get things back on track. Their new wave of healthy, ultra-processed foods, and the fact that right now they are using AI to engineer the most insanely addictive food products they've ever created. But before we get into it, let's talk about cooking real food at home with today's sponsor, HelloFresh. If you like to cook but hate meal prepping and grocery shopping, HelloFresh was made for you. The worst part about cooking to me is having to decide what to make for dinner over and over and over again. And then once you've made a decision about what to make, you have to make sure you have the ingredients, which where I live means visiting multiple different grocery stores most of the time. But HelloFresh solves both of those problems. You just pick what meals you want to eat and everything shows up at your door in prepackaged meal kits. It really makes cooking from scratch much less overwhelming. It skips the grocery store, it skips the what am I gonna make phase, and it just gets you into the kitchen and cooking. There is tons of different meals to choose from, and I personally love finding new recipes I can use and then have learned how to make all the time. For example, this recipe, citrus cashew chicken bowls, I made quick pickled red cabbage, which I never thought to do in my life, but now I've done it and it's delicious. I've actually incorporated several HelloFresh dishes into my regular cooking rotation. It is a great solution if you're too busy to plan your meals and keep your fridge stocked, but you still want to cook from home. A lot of these meals only take 30 minutes to make,
but the unfortunate truth is that people are lazy to cook.
These meals are really good too. And of course, you can pause, skip weeks, or swap meals. No commitment, no pressure. Use my code KianaFM at HelloFresh.com for 10 free meals plus free shipping. Free meals applied as discount on first box. New or returning subscribers only. Varies by plan. Sign up today. Click the link below or use my code KianaFM at HelloFresh.com. Thanks to HelloFresh for sponsoring today's video.
Anyway, let's go on. Come on.
I'd like to kick this off by asking if you're familiar with Hot Pockets. Those little pizza pockets you pop in the microwave, heat, and eat.
This is one of the reasons I was fat.
Yeah, those. And I'd like to ask you, would you consider them to be a health food per se? No? Okay, fair. Well, then, would you consider them to be great for weight loss? No, again, okay. Now, what if I put them in a green box, I removed exactly 30 calories, and I renamed them Lean Pockets?
Bored with the old diet lunch? Join the revolution. Lean Pockets, a revolution in speed, low calories, and a taste that's definitely not diet. Like chicken parmesan, pizza, beef and broccoli.
Join the Lean Pockets revolution.
So part of that was a commercial from 1989, which is
all the marketing.
Lean Pockets look particularly revolting. Also, who the heck is buying a beef and broccoli flavored Lean Pocket? You cannot tell me that flavor had any sort of success. But yeah, Lean Pockets were actually a pretty successful product. They were only discontinued in 2020. This product had a 30-year run, despite the fact that, look at this. Lean Pockets, 4-cheese pizza, 270 calories, okay? Now, Hot Pockets, 4-cheese pizza, 280 calories. And you can bet the Lean Pockets version was at least $1 more. But I wanted to start with this because
it was all marketing. The way they market it, that's why. And people, the thing is that people don't really, there's a lot of people that don't really read the labels. And that's one thing that a lot of people need to do is they need to start reading the labels to see how many calories they're consuming. Okay? Look, lean pockets and hot pockets is not a really ideal thing to eat if you're trying to lose weight. But if you like them, just make sure you don't over consume them. That's all you need to do. But I don't recommend it. I mean, it's all ultra processed food, but anyway, go on.
Really dumb bait and switch is a great example of the type of diet food that dominated the grocery stores between the late 80s and early 2000s. Like somehow the lean pocket thing, it worked, despite the fact that it was identical in every way, and in this case had only 10 calories less than a regular Hot Pocket. Just a few simple changes and we're like, okay, lean pocket equals diet lunch revolution. Hot Pocket equals junk food snack. We are truly too easy to do. But yeah,
the
we
colors
as a society
too.
were
Green,
in such
red.
a crash diet phase back then. Everyone wanted to be thin and lose weight, so much so that we allowed the food industry to convince us that the answer to all our health and weight loss problems was a slew of snack foods that were about as useful as a diet Hot Pocket. Here are some of the most iconic examples of this that are both fun and really set up the issues we're about to discuss. Snackwell's cookies. These were fat-free and reduced fat cookies that had this health halo around them. They were marketed as cookies that you could still eat on a diet, or if you just wanted to be thin and healthy all around.
At Snackwell's, we like to think that snacking shouldn't just be about treating yourself, but about treating yourself well. And it shouldn't simply be about satisfying your hunger, but about satisfying your hunger for life.
Also, I watched Eyes Wide Shut for the first time while writing this video, and boom, that's Nicole Kidman eating Snackwell's cookies.
Oh, man.
Now these cookies...
That product placement right there, guys. That's marketing 101 right there. That product placement. First of all, you know damn well people are just not just taking one or two and putting them away. They're eating the whole box. And that whole box is probably over 1,000 calories. So, healthy? I don't know.
Were fat-free, which was a really, really big deal in the 90s. Back then we thought fat makes you fat. Eat fat, be fat. It does seem logical, but we now know that fat-free diets really don't do anything special when it comes to weight loss. It's mostly calories in, calories out, and 2 Snackwell's cookies have about the same amount of calories as 2 Oreos. In other words, Snackwell's cookies were a completely useless product, invented to help people lose weight, but were really just convincing them to keep eating cookies. And the people who maybe would have stopped buying cookies in order to get healthier just kept buying Snackwell's instead. Next, Special K. The cereal that was just a cereal, but for some reason promised you could drop a pant size in 2 weeks.
Afraid swimsuit season will reflect badly on you? Get the shape that reflects the way you want to be. Kellogg's Special K. Lose that winter fat.
The idea was people were supposed to replace 2/3 of their normal meals with a bowl of Special K instead. Possibly the dumbest diet hack I've ever heard of in my entire life. 2 bowls of sugary refined carbohydrates is the opposite of a diet hack. I don't know about you, but I'm going to be starving in 45 minutes.
Yes,
Meals, 2
same
bowls,
here.
2 weeks. Have Special K or Crunchy Nut for breakfast and again for lunch or dinner for 2 weeks, and you too could drop a jean size.
Yet somehow, again, we believe this whole thing. Like the food industry really had people thinking that a box of cereal had magic weight loss powers. And millions of people participated in Special K challenges where more than half of their diet was Special K. Honestly, it's kind of genius. You almost have to give them credit. I don't want to.
The marketing,
man. And finally,
evil
possibly
geniuses.
the most disturbing diet snack of all. Wow Potato Chips, a Pepsi product released in 1996. Actually, PepsiCo is kind of the star of the show today. We will be talking about them a lot. Wow Potato Chips were 0 fat and about half the calories of regular potato chips because they were fried in this magical new oil called Olestra. Now, unlike Special K, Olestra really was seen as a miracle at first because it couldn't be absorbed by the body, so it was 0 calories. But it tasted like normal fry oil.
Bet you can't taste the difference.
Bet I can. Take the WOW challenge yourself. Bet you can't taste the difference or it's free.
What?
Wow.
resulting in low-calorie potato chips that were just as good as regular potato chips, offering people the chance to, quote, eat like a kid again.
Eat like
Remember
a
the
kid
simple
again.
pleasures of being a kid? They're back. Now you can eat
When I
like
was a kid, I
again.
was fat.
Introducing new Lay's Wow Potato Chips. They taste just as good as regular Lay's, and because they're made with Olean, they're half the calories and 100% fat-free.
The only problem was Olestra actually inhibited the absorption of essential vitamins and minerals and caused abdominal cramping, loose stools, and what would be later called anal leakage. Yeah.
What?
And some people had no side effects.
What?
Others had to be hospitalized with anal leakage. So after hearing these stories,
That is
people stopped buying these
disgusting.
chips. They got discontinued, and no one got to
Oh, man.
eat like a kid again. Now, obviously, none of these products were really an attempt to help people make healthier
No.
choices. They weren't even really trying to help people lose weight. These products were about ensuring that people kept eating even when they were trying not to. It was
Yes.
all about sales, and sales for the food industry means people must eat. And
And you know what else too? It was the marketing, man. I mean, the marketing was great because back then we didn't really had the knowledge, right? People, just like what she said, people would think, oh, fat free means no fat. That's mean I'm gonna get skinny. But in reality, it's all calories in, calories out. You know what I'm saying? You can still eat it as long as you're in a deficit. You'll lose weight. But it was the marketing that was just getting people's minds and be like, oh, okay, I could eat this and this will freaking help me lose weight. They're all evil geniuses, guys. They're evil geniuses. But now we have the technology and the knowledge to understand how to lose weight. So
ideally, eat more and more and more and more. And eating, we have been. Since the 1960s, the amount of calories available per person has taken off like a rocket. After World War II, the food industry just kept getting more efficient, inventing cheaper, more interesting, and fun foods that Americans wanted to fit into their lifestyle. Suddenly, food was cheap everywhere and exciting, futuristic even. Back then, most people only ate 3 meals a day. Snacking was not a thing. It was straight up weird for people to eat outside of their 3 meals a day. But over time, as we were introduced to cheap potato chips, to soda pops, to crackers, cookies, and candies, and of course, marketing campaigns convincing us to consume these things, our food environment went through this insane shift. And as a result, we wanted more. So we just kept eating. And now, as a group, we are eating roughly 1 extra meal's worth of calories every single day compared
that's how we're
with our
getting
grandparents.
fat.
And that's how the system has worked for decades. And now I know there's a lot of people watching being like, hey, F you, I don't eat more than my grandparents. But I'm saying on average, we all eat more than people.
We got
of the
accustomed
past.
to it.
Even
That's
you,
what it is.
And yes, even if you're not overweight. And obviously some people eat way, way more than people of the past. I can put myself in this camp. For 90% of my life, I ate well above the average human being, and it's only been the last 7 years or so that I've gotten it under control. But every time someone like me changes their eating habits, an angel dies. A bright light in the food industry goes out. I would have been what's called a heavy user in the food world. I don't know if it's an intentional pun or if it just makes the most sense as a phrase. But companies like Coca-Cola straight up call the people who drink the most Coke heavy users. And these heavy users were a big part of their business because some customers will only drink 1 can of Coke a day, no matter how much you market to them. But other customers have almost no ceiling. So those guys, you can just keep getting those guys to consume more and more and more. So yeah, me and people like me are the food industry's best customers. Now, lucky for them, only a small percentage of us ever managed to stop eating so much. So we've never really been much of a threat until now. Because all of a sudden, for the first time, a large enough percentage of people are starting to eat less food. America is on a health kick. There is a growing trend toward healthier eating as people start to understand more about what they're consuming. We've been slowly building towards this for the last 10 or 20 years, but we just keep prioritizing health more and more as something that we want out of the food that we eat. Plus now 20% of Americans are on a GLP-1 like Ozempic or Mounjaro or any of the other ones. So there are millions of people on this medication and they are definitely eating less. So much less that they're buying less food, they're going to restaurants less, and they're snacking less than before. And at first, the food industry really didn't care about this, but now, combined with this broader health trend, it's large enough and it's projected to grow enough that it's taking a bite out of their sales. Big Food pours millions into rebrand as obesity drugs reshape US demand. Diet changes linked to GLP-1 drug use could mean up to $12 billion in snack sales lost over the next decade, according to EY Parthenon estimates. So the food industry now stands to lose over $1 billion per year in snack sales. And obviously, they're not too happy about this.
Yeah,
and as
of
you'll
course.
see, their plans to fix this little problem might affect everyone for years and even maybe decades to come. And this topic makes me so mad because people want to be healthy. They want to avoid chronic disease. They don't want to be obese. And despite the fact that ultra-processed junk food seems to be at the heart of diet-related chronic disease, the food industry seems to be willing to stop at nothing to cram these calories down our throats. Because anytime there's a renewed interest in health in society, the food industry steps in and does everything they possibly can to stop it from happening. And to clarify, we're not just talking about people on GLP-1s. Like I said, this is a trend that's been brewing for a long time. All of the articles about this mention the food industry shifting because of this, but I think it's bigger than this. And this is something that everything's been working toward for a long time. And anytime people try to do something good for their health, the food industry steps in and offers these solutions that are extremely problematic.
It's the devil. That's what I think they are. There's the devil trying to feed you more crap. Try this food. This one's going to help you lose weight, which in reality is not. It's just more ultra processed crap that you're consuming. You know, just more stuff that's going to help, you know, accumulate cancer into your body. So yeah.
So with this new health trend on the rise, what does an industry built on excess do? The food industry is currently changing things up big time. A new diet and wellness food era like the one from the 90s is on its way right now. And the industry is dumping money into revamping all its products for this new weight loss craze. You can see here we have Coca-Cola, Kraft Heinz, ConAgra, Mondelez International, General Mills, and PepsiCo are all spending just a little bit more money this year in order to revamp their products. And I am very, very curious about the products they're going to create. Right now, we're extremely early on this, and they have launched some products, but they're nothing crazy. They're nothing that interesting like the products of the 90s yet. First things first, as you've definitely already noticed, the industry has been slapping protein on everything. Protein Cheerios, protein popcorn, protein Starbucks drinks, and just announced protein Doritos. And it's actually predicted that this
protein
year,
water.
Start seeing fiber slapped on everything.
There's even protein sparkling water. Like, what the hell? They're getting really creative with this stuff, man. I mean, wow.
Same way you've been seeing protein. Now, to be completely fair, this could be a little bit helpful, right? For people who don't eat enough of these things, if you're eating a processed snack, well then, at least it has a little protein, a little fiber, maybe a little, I don't know, vitamins or something. But is this anywhere near as good as just eating normal food that naturally contains these healthier attributes? No,
eat a freaking chicken,
not.
dude.
And if you pick up one of these protein-packed foods and think that they're doing something better or equal to a more normal food, you're doing yourself a major disservice. And ultra-processed junk food, a snack food, is still a junk food, a snack food, even with lots of protein in it. And although it's not going to kill you, it's still more marketing gimmick than functionally helpful to your life. There have also been some other new inventions, such as another one from Doritos, Simply Naked, Doritos with no dyes and no artificial flavors. I personally really don't get this product. A Dorito by any other shade is still a Dorito. Changing the color of a Dorito does not make it not a Dorito. It also doesn't make it that much healthier at all. The color of the Dorito was never the major problem with the Dorito. Please don't get duped by products like this. Products like this do absolutely nothing to improve your health. You can't eat like a kid again, okay? And you don't get to count naked Doritos as a step in the right direction if you're trying to eat healthier. Also, can you tell me in the comments if you bought these, okay? Because it seemed like when it was launched, nobody cared. The launch seemed to be announced to crickets because here's how they launched it.
I didn't even know there was such a thing.
With one of those 9 square grids, something that was popular in maybe like 2016 or even earlier. Very questionable marketing choice, okay? I haven't seen one of these in so long. I'm like, whose idea was this as your big launch for your new product. It also meant that one of the grids was this, with the caption, "The renaissance of snacking is upon us." Comment, "Sorry, what?" Comment, same reaction. Also, most of the posts got almost no interaction, except for that one for the wrong reasons. This is just the beginning, though, because although it seems that a new health trend on the rise, people eating less, means inevitably dark times for the food industry, which, by the way, when I say that, I just mean that they're not going to be able to post the profits that they usually do. We have a system where any sort of lesserness in a company means they're failing. So even though they can actually be doing really, really well profit-wise, they need to actually do better all the time in order to be successful in the stock market. But really, they're viewing this situation as one big fat opportunity. Weight management is a big opportunity, Nestle CEO said. I think there are more opportunities than threats, but there are both, Pepsi CEO said. So on one hand, companies do think, okay, people are eating less, there might be a problem here. Quote, consumers on GLP-1s eat 700 fewer calories a day, and they were most likely to eschew processed foods, sugar-sweetened beverages, refined grains, and beef. Only fruit, leafy greens, and water showed an overall increase in consumption, the research found. So that's the bad news for them. People are turning up their nose at ultra-processed foods, aka 80% of the food created by the industry. These guys aren't getting rich selling fruit and leafy greens, they're getting rich selling UPFs and sugar. But here's the good side for these guys, okay? It's one of these opportunities the CEOs were mentioning. While consumption of most processed and sugary foods drop when taking GLP-1s, consumers' desire for these foods does not wane. That's creating additional opportunities for food companies to support consumers' dual desires for nutrition and indulgence. In other words, people still crave junk food while on a GLP-1, they just eat less of it. And it's obviously the same.
Yes, like me, like I have a sugar addiction, you know. So when I was overweight, when I was over 315 pounds, I would just consume so much cookies, so much cake, and all this sugary stuff, you know. But now you know, throughout my journey, I've learned to just eat less of it. Like, it's okay to have some cookies and just not eat the whole package, right? Just eat 4. You'll be fine. Just enjoy the taste, you know. So that's what I try to tell everybody. It's like, look, you could still eat it, just eat it in moderation. Eat less of it and you'll be fine. Okay? Just learn, just be aware too.
Normal people on a diet, they still want the junk food, they just have to eat less of it. And this means that people are still buying these junk food snack products, these snack foods that the food industry relies on, meaning that these companies still have a chance, not just to sell to you, but to pull you back towards their products, which is where maybe this next full-on unhinged and completely evil thing comes into play. So I found this under Our Nutrition on this Reuters article that we've been discussing. I work with food scientists who are partnering with the food industry to try to increase palatability and demand for different products as people's consumption habits change due to GLP-1s. The research shows these medications not just changing how much people consume, but users moving toward less meat, more whole foods, better macros. The folks I work with are focusing on targeting and ramping up the reward response in the brain to junk and snack foods to bring people back to selecting those products. They talk a lot about helping consumers make choices that maintain profitability. In other words, in response to people eating less, the food industry is trying to make their products even more addictive. And to be fair, this is just a Reddit comment, right? This person could be making it up. It's not really a source. But the food industry has already said similar things themselves. The billion-dollar question is, how do I make someone who is not hungry eat again? Bruno Didier, head of B2B at Cook Unity Meal Delivery Service, said during a panel at the IFT First conference in Chicago earlier this month. And hey, maybe that quote is taken out of context, but we already know that the food industry designs its food products to be addictive. So
yeah, all the food that we eat is addictive. McDonald's, freaking, you know, the chips, Sun chips are so addicting. Just potato chips in general, you know what I'm saying? There's all these kind of foods that we've been eating as a small child. We started young eating this stuff. So we got addicted in a young age to eat this stuff, to the point now we're grown up. We have to fight the addiction of not over consuming it, because we got these crazy demonic freaking food companies over here just freaking adding addictive additives over here to get us all addicted to it. And yeah, it's horrible. It's seriously, it's demonic. It's sad. It's just they're over here just trying to get as much money as possible, getting us very unhealthy, getting us all these health problems that we're having. It's sad.
It would be very par for the course for them to be adapting to these GLP-1s. Of course, they would try to do this. For the last 50 years, the industry has already been doing everything possible to keep us consuming their food. They've been pumping everything they've got into creating hyper-palatable, addictive, insanely craveable junk foods carefully engineered to make us eat more. It started with things like the perfect amount of sugar and fat and salt, what they called the bliss point. This idea that if you hit a very specific ratio of one or more of these things, the food doesn't just taste good, it lights your brain up. It actually makes you hungrier. It compels you to keep eating. Next, companies started scanning people's brains, measuring how we react to certain foods, how excited we got, how much dopamine fired. They used tools called texturometers to ensure the perfect level of craveable crunch, resistance, and texture of each bite. Dude. And who knows what else, what research they're doing to literally hack our brains to eat more junk. But for the last who knows how many years, everything in this industry has been built on craveability. And now they're going deeper than ever before, trying to find foods that make us hungrier, craving more than before, and frankly, as addicted as possible to the foods that they create. And the GLP-1 aspect means that the food industry right now is scanning people who are on GLP-1s, people who are less responsive to food, less hungry, have less of a brain spike whenever they encounter junk food. They're taking these people and trying to understand how they can get this person's brain to want to eat more food again. Kind of insane, kind of terrifying, and now I guess they're also using AI. Brands are now turning to AI-driven food science to keep consumers hooked. They're already, at this moment, using this technology to, quote, bypass natural hunger cues and trigger repeat consumption. That's where we're at now, guys. Even the National Institutes of Health admitted that the food industry is designing foods that override natural satiety signals and influencing eating behaviors without consumers' conscious awareness, a practice that parallels concerns previously associated with addictive substances, where products are engineered to promote repeated use. Isn't this insane? I read about this stuff all the time and it still always blows my mind. And insane. If these companies are successful, they will end up creating products that are a very bad thing for society. And this won't just affect people on GLP-1s, it will affect everyone who consumes their products. Like, imagine what life would be like if all of the packaged products on the shelf were extremely effective at getting you to eat more of them. That is what's on the line here. I know it sounds crazy, but it's like we're 2 steps away from Wall-E World at this point. It's so dystopian. So we just discussed what they're doing behind closed doors, yet up front, what is the vibe? All the products are making major health pledges. They're promising to help you on your journey toward health, which is why having the food industry design the new health food that's supposed to help us get healthier and eat less just doesn't make sense.
Because they're just gonna make it more addicting. They're just gonna try to make it more addicting so we could overconsume it, And the thing is, again, guys, the kids, the kids are eating this stuff, and they're gonna grow up addicted to this stuff. American kids are overweight. I think there's like 50% now at this point. Don't quote me on that, but it's getting bad. Every time I go back to America, I see kids walking around just overweight, and it's sad. It's freaking, it breaks me because I was one of them. I just wish, somebody would stop me and stop eating this crappy stuff at a young age. But no, I got addicted to it. I got addicted to these chips, these cookies, these freaking McDonald's, you know what I'm saying? So it's going to get worse, guys. And we just need to teach a lot of people what, what's okay. Be more aware of what we're consuming. I mean, I'm going to feed a dead horse about this all the time, but we have to be aware of what we're consuming and how many calories we're consuming.
It's just not in their best interests for us to eat less. Look at this. POV, it's the 90s/2000s, and you discover these healthy snacks at the grocery store. See, Snackwell's in there, right? One of the top comments. Then you eat the whole box.
Yes.
Get out of my business. Ha ha ha. For real. Exactly. Seriously, and defeat the purpose. 100. Yeah, and all the Snackwell's commercials actually showed women like stalking the guy who worked at the Snackwell's factory. As in, the trope was that women were so addicted to these low-fat cookies that they wanted to hunt and stalk the factory employees in order to get more.
Indulge! Look at this.
Indulge my friends! Sounds good to me.
Oh, what a nightmare.
I'll say, we're almost out of chocolate yogurt.
Not exactly a recipe for weight loss or health success, and something tells me that protein Doritos might be in the same category. So every time they invent a healthy junk food product, it's one big fat joke. And the joke is on us if we buy into it. In reality, if you want to get healthier food-wise, one of the best things you can do is just to avoid the prepackaged, ultra-processed snack foods altogether. It's so sad that this gigantic industry can't figure out how to give people what they need and want, which is just real, normal, healthy food. But it doesn't exactly work with their business model. In reality, one of the best things you can possibly do food and health and weight-wise is to eat as few of these ultra-processed snack foods as you possibly can, and instead turn to cooking your own food as much as possible. But how motivating is it to know that every time you opt out of eating ultra-processed foods made for you by the food industry, you are shunning a gigantic system that makes lots of money off of addicting you to their products. A system that operates by tricking you into thinking that you're making a healthy choice when it's just the same old slop. Anyway, on that note, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.
Nice. Yeah, no, check her out. She's great. She's awesome. But the thing is that we're hooked. We're hooked. People are just lazy to even cook, too. Like, I'm not going to lie. I'm lazy. I'm lazy to cook. Sometimes I always just go to the drive-thru and get me a Big Mac. There's times that I do that. But I always try my best to make a good meal. I always try my best, and that's what a lot of people need to do. You know what I'm saying? I'm not telling you what to do or anything, but what it is that we just have to be aware of what we're eating. We have to make better choices, man. And especially the kids, dude. Like, I grew up addicted to this stuff, because there was, my parents just gave it to me instead of be like, hey, mijo, why, let's try something different. Instead of this, try that, right? But I don't know, man. It's an evil world we're living in, guys. But all we got to do, we just got to do better, be aware, and hopefully everybody has a wonderful day. Y'all take care now. Peace.